Okay, co-pilot, are you there?
Absolutely, I'm here. What's on your mind?
Okay, let's continue our English conversation sessions. Is that okay for you?
Totally up for that. Let's dive in.
Okay, co-pilot, as I was saying before, we are trying to recording these sessions and trying to make some kind of assessment in the end of this, week or I don't know, 15 days. And after that, we can understand how I'm improving in terms of my speaking ability using a tool like you, an artificial intelligence model. Okay?
Got it. We'll be your language sidekick for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm all ears. What's next on the agenda?
Maybe today we can talk a little bit about things that people consider common approach in terms of learning a new language, and with that we can maybe make some comparisons in terms of the methods that I have been using the last years. So maybe people can
Absolutely.
understand
Let's
the
dive.
pros and cons in terms of, using both methods. What do you think about that?
Solid plan. Comparing different language learning methods can be really eye-opening. So, fire away with your methods, and we'll dive into pros and cons. I'm all ears.
As I've said before, I have been learning English by myself, and one of the ideas that I keep trying to understand a little more is the aspect of how traditional language classes they focus too much on grammar and this kind of stuff. And if you think about that in terms of real world, when you go to a English school trying to learn the English language, usually most of language schools they teach grammar first, believing it's the foundation for learning a language, which I disagree because I think that when you are trying to, just studying the grammar aspect of any kind of language, I would say that you are studying the language and not learning the language. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. You've highlighted a common critique. Traditional language classes often focus on grammar rules, leaving learners more focused on studying the rules than actually learning to speak the language naturally. It's a common sentiment that immersing oneself in conversational practice and real world use is more effective for becoming fluent. What's been your approach to this?
I would say that there's a big difference between learning a language and learning about the language. Studying grammar means learning about the language, not properly actually learning how to use it in a daily basis. And because of that, I think that people should understand um, the kind of methods that they are choosing in terms of trying to learn a new language, because unfortunately, this traditional approach in terms of studying different aspects of grammar rules, they do not help you in your daily needs in terms of communicating, trying to connect with people, trying to share your ideas or pass your message to an audience or whatever. And this kind of understanding that people have these days, I would say that they maybe should rely more on this kind of new nuances of learning a new language, like for example using internet and trying to go by themselves, trying to just make their own search in terms of what could benefit them according to their language goals or this kind of ideas.
Absolutely. The web's a treasure trove for language learners, offering real world content and interactions that traditional methods sometimes miss. People learning at their own pace, exploring topics that interest them, and engaging in conversation helps bridge the gap between merely knowing about a language and truly learning how to use it. What's your experience with using the internet for language learning?
I would say that internet is the most important tool in my English learning journey. And coming back to the same topic about grammar, co-pilot, I would say that grammar is just a kind of description of how the language works, but not properly the
Mhm.
language itself, because we can understand that before people trying to make some registers in terms of how a specific language work or something like that, before anything they spoke the language. And I would say that, and the grammar is just a consequence of how the language evolves according to the time. And here, regarding any language, we can put in the same train of thought here. And the idea of just studying grammar and trying to master all aspects about grammar, and for example, in the English language, is not something that can help you to speak the language in a better way, to understand the language, to listen to people, to read something in English or write something in English. And I think that people should understand that, for example, as you said, internet, as you asked me about my journey when it comes to using the internet to learn the language, I would say that when I have some questions about grammar or something like that, I go to the internet and I can make a quick search about that specific point, that specific block that I'm facing at that specific moment, and with that I can understand the points that I'm struggling. And I do not need someone to give me a 2 hour class about some specific grammar point, because this kind of stuff is not helping me to become more fluent in terms of communicating in the real world. What do you think about that?
I think you got the right idea. Diving into real conversations is what truly helps you master a language. Grammar rules can be important, but they're just one piece of the puzzle. Using the internet as a resource saves you time and gives you immediate answers to your questions, helping you learn in a more practical way. Keep it up.
Yeah, I would say that people who speak a lot of different languages, they do not count solely on grammar to learn that one, two, or three language or more that they can speak, and they create their own immersion environment, and with that they can go ahead and little by little they are trying to understand the most important aspects of that language, and with that they can go ahead and speak the language properly. And here I'm not saying that grammar is not important. Of course it is very important. And but what I'm trying to say here is that you need to go with the flow. Like, for example, you can learn grammar according to the evolution of your learning process. You do not need uh, to focus specific on grammar lessons or this kind of stuff. I think that you should, for example, take some specific aspects or points that you have some questions, some doubts, and as I've said before, you go ahead and you try to understand that aspect by yourself, and with that you can put this kind of doubts in practice in the real world. And of course, I think that in this way, it's much more productive in terms of mastering something when you are trying to use that thing in a real scenario, in a real situation, and with that you can go ahead and improve little by little, day by day.
Absolutely. It's about living the language. Immerse yourself, make mistakes, learn from them, and gradually you become fluent. Grammar has its place, but real world usage is where the magic happens. Keep engaging with the language, and you'll see progress. Keep going.
Yeah, cool, pilot. I think that it's kind of learning to drive a car, for example. You do not learn how to drive a car by learning how an engine works or something like that. Uh, you do not need to learn about the mechanics of how a car works. You just need to go ahead, sit in the car, understand the basic commands, the basic movements that you need to do, and you need start the car and trying to drive the car. That's my point.
Exactly, John. It's all about getting behind the wheel and learning by doing. Theory is good, but practice is king. You won't master driving by just reading manuals. You gotta feel the road, make some mistakes, and get comfortable with the controls. Same goes for learning new skills or languages. Dive in, try it out, and learn as you go.
Yeah, and learning a new language like English, it is something that um, is not easy, I would say, but it's not very hard, and people should, first work in their mind. They need to create their mindset in terms of learning this new language, for example, in this case, English. And with that, they can go ahead trying to, day by day, little by little, create this immersion environment that they need in terms of acquiring a new language. But I think that this is kind of a topic for another video co-pilot.
Spot on, John. Creating an environment where you're immersed in the language is key. It's not just about studying, it's about living the language, making it a part of your daily life. And you're right, it's a big topic that's ripe for more exploration. We should definitely dive into that in another chat.
Yeah,
Till
definitely. And okay, let's finish for today. As usual, I would say that it's interesting that you give some feedback about our conversation right now, and about all the aspects that you have been talking here in terms of English learning, and of course a feedback about how I express the ideas here at this session. Please go ahead.
John, you've been super articulate today. Your thoughts on language learning, especially the importance of mindset and creating an immersive environment, are spot on. Your expression is clear and engaging, making it easy to follow along. Just keep that confidence up, and you'll continue to make great strides.
So that's it for today, co-pilot. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, John.